This portion of programming brought to you by New Health.
New Year's resolution or not, at New Health they can help you on your journey to a healthier new year. From preventative exams, chronic disease management, acute illness, dental, pharmacy, and behavioral health care needs, they have you covered in 2022. At New Health, they're committed to promoting health and wellness within our communities by providing integrated, open access health care for all. Their medical care teams offer in-person visits, curbside care, and telehealth visits. Schedule today for a new patient appointment. Curbside pharmacy pickup and mailing options are available to meet your medication needs. Curbside COVID-19 tests and vaccinations are also available. Contact New Health at 509-935-6004. That's 509-935-6004 to schedule today, or visit their website at newhealth.org for a location nearest you. New patients are welcome, and most insurance plans are accepted, including Medicare, Apple Health Plans, TRICARE, and private insurance. Get healthy with New Health in the new year.
And we're back. It's KCHW Chihuahua 102.7 FM, and it's Scott and Mike on a Wednesday. A special guest with us today, Mr. Barney Brockwell. Welcome back to the studios, sort of, at least via Zoom. Barney, thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me, Scott. Mike, I appreciate getting to hang out with you guys for a little bit this morning.
All right.
You bet. Scott, this is going to be weird without me watching you.
I know. It's okay. You'll get used to it.
It's actually kind of nice.
Oh! All right. A round of applause, but just for Barney. There we go.
Golf clap.
All right. And just a quick apology for those that like to watch online. We had a major computer blow up. I installed a new one. I ran a test at 2 in the morning, as Mike was saying last hour, that he noticed I was sending videos out in the middle of the night. They were just test videos. And everything worked. And then this morning, just like the law of averages, it isn't. So, all right. Kind of hard for me to be under the counter trying to fix something and be up here. So we're rolling this one, and we're going to record it, and we will post it, too, for anybody that can't listen to the whole thing, because Barney's got some important stuff to talk about. Of course, Barney Brockwell works with Employment Security. And, Barney, let's start off and just tell us about your job, because it's been a couple years since you've been on the radio, and a little bit about what you do and why you're here with a little outreach.
Well, again, thank you. And I'm with Employment Security, the supervisor in the WorkSource office up in Colville. They're in the Rural Resources building, and we partner with Rural Resources to come together as WorkSource. And the elevator pitch is we work with people to find employment, ideally long-term employment, different people in need that have barriers to employment. On the flip side of that, we work with local businesses to find employees that are a good fit for the work they have to do.
Okay.
And so, that's what we're about. And obviously the last 2 years, just like everybody else, our world got thrown upside down, inside out, and we got sent home as of St. Patrick's Day, 2020, a day that will live in infamy in our world. We've been back in the office in Colville since the tail end of June. Our doors opened the first week of July. And so we've seen some folks, certainly nothing like the flow we saw pre-pandemic, but we've still got folks coming in and doing a lot of work still with people just over the phones, talking to them, and a little bit on the computer too.
So, Barney,
So-
what is employment like in Stevens County right now? Do you have any percentage, or the Tri-County area? Do you have any percentages of what the unemployment rate is and where we're at?
I do, and these numbers are fairly fresh, just within the last, I think, 10 days. Um, we are in the middle of our peak unemployment season. I'm sure a lot of people are aware that the spring breakup is going on, so all of the logging companies are out of the forests because the ground's just too soft to get through there. But as of January, which is the latest info we've got, Stevens County was looking at an unemployment rate of 8.2%, which doesn't sound great. But historically, that average for January, you're looking at about 11% unemployment on average.
So-
I was going to say Ponderoy County is 8.6, Ferry County 10.6 for that month. All three counties in the Tri-County area are well below historical averages.
Wow.
So, Barney, can you point to anything as to why that's happening? Why that employment rate's down so far?
That has been the big mystery, to be honest. And if you're a business, quite honestly, just about anywhere in the United States, you're having a heck of a time finding workers. Part of it, through the pandemic, a lot of people just opted out of trying to find work. They got let go from their jobs, and one of the kind of common theories is, people tightened their belts and learned how to get by on less. We do know that the pandemic hit women harder than men as far as working goes. More women had to stop working. If they've got kids, childcare, if you can find it in this region, is expensive, but most people can't find it. And so I think a lot of people have figured out how to get by on less, and they're getting to spend more time with family, and that's a good thing. But the downside is there are, I don't know how many job postings in the Tri-County area. Businesses are desperate for good employees, and it's a real challenge. And as I said, it's not just our area. This is going on across the country.
And when you
So-
go ahead, Mike.
So basically, it sounds to me like, from a generational standpoint, when I grew up, they were single income houses or single income household predominantly.
Mm-hmm.
And we've, to some degree, reverted back to that. And part of it is cost driven. I mean, the childcare, forget about the cost. I just know in Montana, with both my kids, how hard it is to even find it,
Yeah.
as far as that goes. And so I think my son's family is a good example. They made the decision to go to a single income household. And so they're effectively changed their budget to reflect that.
Right.
And so that's really kind of what you think's been happening up here, because the jobs are there. It's just the people are, I guess, changing their lifestyle effectively.
Yeah,
So-
truly. And there are, according to the state economists, there are more people currently employed in the Tri-County region than there were prior to the pandemic.
Weird.
Think about
Yeah, that is really weird. Is that due to people moving into the area?
We've had some people we think have moved into the area. Really what it boils down to is, pretty much everybody's working that can work. And as I said, right now, there's, seasonal layoffs. Our loggers are going to be out of the forests for a few weeks, and they'll be going back to it. Construction numbers are up. They went back to work swinging hammers earlier this year than they have in years past. It's remarkable. There's been a huge economic recovery during 2021 that I don't think anybody really expected would be this strong.
Right. I've got a question when we talk about these numbers. Am I correct in assuming that if there is someone who is no longer getting an unemployment check, because whether they just gave up looking for work or maybe they decided to just keep homeschooling the kids and they didn't go back to work, things like that, they're not reflected in those numbers, are they, once they're not getting a check? Is that
so? That's not correct.
Okay.
But it is fuzzy. So, the economists in general, they're pretty smart folks, and they're aware of, there are some people that just, exhausted their unemployment benefits or have, said, I'm out, I'm not even looking. They have, some, we'll call it fuzzy logic. They know there's a certain percentage of people that aren't on the unemployment rolls that are still looking for work. That is going to happen. And so while we don't have exact numbers, they do account for, and I honestly, I don't know what the percentage is, but they do account for that. And so if the percentage of people on unemployment is, and I am making this up,
okay.
For Stevens County right now, the actual number of people getting unemployment benefits is 6%. They run it through their number cruncher and they came up with 8.2%. Those folks are a lot smarter than I am and a whole lot better at math. So they're the first ones to admit that they're not exact numbers by any stretch, but they're the best information we've got.
Okay. Yeah.
And they do acknowledge exactly that situation you pointed out, Scott.
So when someone comes in, someone's looking for work, decides, or maybe they're going to decide they're going to go back to work. What happens? What's the process? What do you help them with when they come to WorkSource?
So we've, right now in this world, everything's done online. 99% probably of job applications are done online. Job postings are all online. And this is not news, but our population is not necessarily that technologically savvy. And so we're able to provide people access to computers to do job searches, to apply for jobs online. We can kind of help walk them through that process. Also, and again, all of these online jobs require that you have a resume. And again, many people don't have a resume or they haven't updated it in 5 years, 10 years or longer. And so we can help them to get their resume updated and formatted in an appropriate way for this day and age. So those are all things that we're able to help them with. In addition to that, we'll have conversations to determine if they've got other barriers that we can help with. One of the biggest populations that really flies under the radar are our veterans. And we've got a couple of great veteran advocates, Larry Allen and Eric Blackburn up in our office that do outreach and they're already out of the office a fair amount, doing presentations or meeting with veterans throughout the Tri-County area. And getting them the support they need. We also have programs for folks that are financially, in a bind if they are receiving food benefits. And that is the only requirement. If someone's receiving food benefits and looking for work, we can help with gas vouchers, for example. We've got people that live in pretty far-flung places, and it's hard for them to physically drive to town to, if they get a job, it's hard to get there. So while they're getting on their feet, we can provide gas vouchers so that they can have fuel in their car to get to their job or a job interview. We'll help with, professional clothes for job interviews. I think we've all been around long enough to know that you have to look the part to get the part. And so those are all things that we can help with. In addition to that, we've got people that we've got a whole bunch of people that worked at Ponderay Newsprint. And that's a different program, but a lot of people are back in school through some federal funding through a program, because this might shock everybody. There aren't many newsprint facilities around anymore. And so these folks had been working there for years and years. That was their skill set, and we're able to help them get an education to start a new career.
So Barney, if I'd say it brings up a great point that let's say I worked at Ponderay Newsprint and I had a specific skill, then will you guys basically inventory that skill and help me decide on something that I could move into going into the future, utilizing those skills? Because I think a lot of people just don't know what to do.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And we've got some, little questionnaires that people can fill out that, ask questions like, I agree or disagree with the statement that I like working with people. I like working with my hands. I'm mechanically inclined. I'm not mechanically inclined. I like numbers. I don't like this whole array. And you finish this questionnaire, and at the end it spits out a whole litany of possible jobs that could be a good fit for you. And then depending on the individual's specific situation, we may have the ability, the resources to pay for some training to bridge that gap from a previous job that is going away. We saw it a few years ago, the Tech Mine up in Medellin Falls, the Kinross Mine north of Republic several years ago. There are absolutely no underground mines in the state of Washington anymore. And those were high-paying jobs, high 5-figure, low 6-figure jobs. And those are gone. And so people had a choice to move to where there are still mines, or in those cases, we've got a number of people. Still, we've got about 50 people in a program that we are paying for skills training.
Okay, so when you pay for the skills training, does that earmark then towards an employer?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
We do have to make a case. They do have to make a case that, we can't say, oh, you want to be an underwater basket weaver? Yeah, that's a, $5,000 per, no. We have to make a case that this new career is projected to be in demand and that there are jobs out there. We do have some people that have a specific company that said, yeah, we'll hire you if you get X, Y, and Z. We've got an individual that took a position with the city of Newport, and the city gave this individual, I think it was 12 months to get their commercial driver's license. And so they started working with the city right away, and they had a whole bunch of other training to go through. And they've come back to us this spring and said, okay, I'm ready. And so we're in the process of getting them plugged in with a driving school so they can get their CDL and continue with this career.
Okay. So from an employer's perspective, let's say the other day I was visiting, the Rusty Putter, the restaurant.
Yeah.
And they're starting their rehiring process. And one of the suggestions I made was to contact you, frankly, and to see what kind of programs are available to bring in and maybe train somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in my case, I asked them to contact you about vet programs. So if I'm an employer and I call you, how do you do that? How do you take that on? I mean, I'm busy. I really don't want to spend a lot of time on the front end. I'd rather spend the time on the back end.
Right.
So people are on board. I mean, that type of thing.
So first of all, I will let you know that I've been trading emails and voice messages with Mr. Pitt. So we've got that ball rolling. And so basically what we do is determine what the needs are. Who are you looking for? Now, with, up there at the Rusty Putter, with some of these programs, the requirement is that it is a permanent year-round position.
Right.
So, some of these programs would work fine for the Rusty Putter, for the restaurant staff, going year-round. For, like, let's say ground crew. Well, on the job training, we're not going to be able to do because that's a seasonal program. But the good news is our partners at Rural Resources have different programs. And so I've asked one of our folks there to get in touch with Jason on the ground crew side, because we might be able to, through one of the other programs, find someone where we can help with salary while they're getting trained and up to speed over the course of the summer. So we do have again, this is a perfect example of the partnership between Employment Security and Rural Resources. And so we are able to work with them. In the case of the seasonal employees, this particular program is working with out-of-school youth anywhere from 16 to 24 years of age. We'll actually find the candidates. They get enrolled with the program, and then we have a number of employers that are looking for people, and we'll actually try and find the best fit. And obviously the employer has the right to say, yeah, I don't think that'll work, but so that can save some time on the front end. If you've got someone that you want to hire, we have the employers refer them to us to do an evaluation to see if they qualify for any of these programs where we can provide support.
So even as an employer, if I find somebody, I can send them to you for basically an analysis of their skill sets and where they're at?
Absolutely. Now, the trick here, the key point is we need to do that evaluation prior to them starting the job.
Okay.
That's the way the law is written, and how these funds are allocated. So we do have a number of larger employers in Colville that we get people referred regularly from them, and it doesn't take us. It's usually a 15-minute conversation with the individual, either in person or over the phone, and we can get a really good idea quickly if they qualify. And if they do, we get them enrolled and turn it around quickly, and away we go.
If there's a company that's utilizing those services, is there any kind of cost to them?
No,
Excellent.
no, it's, all of these programs, and I'm trying to make sure that the word all actually fits here. If not all, the vast majority of them, all of these are state and federal programs. So are they, is there a specific cost to the employer? No. But these are all programs that our tax dollars are at work. So
Sure.
the employers are, in a sense, paying, already paying for these programs through their taxes. And so, by all means, let us work for you. Let us help you out and get a return on that investment.
It's such a valuable service because I remember when I was younger and, you work from paycheck to paycheck, and let's say you lose a job and you're out looking for a new one and you get it, and just the things you're talking about. What if, you don't, okay, I finally got a job. I've been unemployed for a couple months. I don't have the money for gas to get to that job till I get my first paycheck. I don't have the money. I got a job, but I have to have steel-toed boots. Or maybe it's at a restaurant and I have to have non-slip shoes, and I just don't have the money to buy them. These are some, I've been in those situations when I was younger.
Sure. And I mean, isn't it just horrible to think that, that could be the difference between somebody having a job and being a contributing member of our society and not?
Yes.
That I can't afford non-slip shoes, so I lose this job, and now I'm risking being homeless or, back on unemployment or something like that. So is a $100 pair of shoes a good investment for us as a society? I think yes, absolutely it is. A $40 gas voucher so someone can get to their job for an entire week. Well, of the current prices for 3 days anyway.
Not going to cover it.
So that's through my mind.
Me too.
Yeah, it's worth it. And these a lot of us, and I know I was this way prior to this job. I realize how fortunate I am that I didn't have those barriers, those concerns, and that these small investments literally change people's lives.
Well,
they make a huge difference.
As you're talking, I'm thinking back, kind of that generational scar, that if you went to an unemployment office, there was something wrong with you, and that's really not the case. I think because of if nothing else, the online access things that have to be done today. To me, what you're doing and what Worksys is doing and is the providing access, because and not only access but support on both sides of the equation. Not only looking for the employment, supporting me while I get started, but also from the employer's standpoint, taking away part of the risk of hiring somebody. Because you go through the analysis on the front end to figure out is it a good fit, or as good a fit as you possibly can. And then on top of that, providing some training resources behind the scene if you're willing to take on, and it is a risk, the employer is willing to take on somebody to train them. And to me, it's almost like a perfect package, but it's just not, advertised enough. It's not common knowledge.
Yeah. And I can tell you, you made me think of something there, Mike, is that we work with employers when they're creating their job listings to go online. And this is kind of information that we can track. We send out weekly emails to everyone on the unemployment list that we get saying, here are jobs in the region. And if a job posting, if the headline has willing to train in the job posting, they get a lot more responses than if it doesn't have just that phrase.
Right.
Because people remove themselves from consideration. I said that poorly, but you know what I mean. They say, "Oh, I don't have that skill set, and so I'm not even going to apply." But if it says willing to train, someone can say, "Well, I don't know how to do that, but I'm pretty sure I could do that. So yeah, I'll throw my hat in the ring." And and they refer those people to us, and we have seen a much higher success rate in that regard.
I would think.
Well, and
Go ahead.
go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say, I would think as a manager too, going through this process with WorkSource and having a potential employee go through it too. The fact that they can't that they're serious about job hunting, that they've come in. Let's say they don't have internet, like you said, all they have is a smartphone. Well, you can't do a resume on a smartphone. You probably could, but it'd be really tough. So they came in and they've utilized your services. They've been out job hunting. Now they're willing to. You find a job. Now they're willing to come back to you again and go through this review before the company hires you. I would feel as a manager that employee is way more viable than the guy that just walked in the street, because he's already shown commitment for the job and he's not even hired.
Right. And I'll say this too, kind of that scenario you sketched out there, Scott, is if someone comes to us and they're serious, and they come in, "Hey, I'm looking for work." We're going to have that conversation on the front end so that when they apply for a job, they may be able to include a letter saying, "Hey, I'm pre-cleared for an on-the-job training program. So 30 to 50% of my salary will be reimbursed to you, the employer, for 90 days or whatever it is." And so that's another thing that is a real perk and gives job seekers some confidence to reach outside their comfort zone for jobs they wouldn't have otherwise applied for. And yeah, an employer sees that, and to your point, they're like, "Well, okay, this person's been out doing everything they can." So it does show a level of commitment and sincerity that, yeah, they're looking for work.
So, Barney, not to put you on the spot, but are you guys well, I guess I'm going to put you on the spot. The Chihuahua Home and Garden Show is coming up on April 2nd. So are you participating in any of those public events like that?
The short answer is no at this point. It cuts both ways being part of a large state agency.
Right.
We do have a lot of resources. The flip side is coming out of the pandemic, change doesn't happen as quickly as we'd often like. And so as far as doing in-person outreach, we're not back to 100% yet. Going forward, that we had such grand plans 2 years ago about doing a lot more outreach and being present at exactly what you're talking about, Mike, be it the Home and Garden Show. And I know we cross paths at chamber meetings and really having a presence in the community that way. We're just getting to the point where we will be doing that more and more. And we're talking about, looking for specifically an individual to do that on behalf of WorkSource. We're just not quite there yet, but you will see us.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to think of ways where you're kind of like this hidden gem.
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that. I think what you guys offer is phenomenal, but how do you get the word out?
Yeah,
Um,
no,
you know,
that's so true. And tomorrow is the sixth week of a 6-week training program that several of us have gone through. And that is one of the key topics. And we're in this class with people from all over the country that are in the workforce industry like we are. And it's ways to market and do outreach and get the word out. That is a focus and a known, weak spot, to be real honest about it. And we're intent on making it a strength.
Now, are there even programs where, well, the radio stations hired their first position, but it's part time. Are there programs for things like that, or is that too tough because it's part time hours? Does it need to be more of a full time situation?
Generally, we're looking at full-time situations. There is some flexibility, kind of like I mentioned before, with some of the programs that Rural Resources administers. And if we can't find a spot, we immediately get folks plugged in with the Rural Resources team. So it's tougher. It's definitely tougher. There are fewer options for part-time gigs than full-time. But I won't say we can't help. And can we help market those job postings? And will we do evaluations for candidates for part-time jobs? Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely, we will. But as far as hard dollars, there are fewer options.
All right. So, if somebody, employer or an potential employee needs assistance, what should they do, and how do they get in touch with you?
So, we are located. If you're in the Colville area and just want to come into the office, we're at 956 South Main Street, Suite B, which is there at the south end of town. We're in the Rural Resources building. If you are looking at the front of it, the left-hand door, you'll see the WorkSource sign. Come on in. We're there Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 9 to 5 on Wednesdays. And then, or you can pick up the phone and call us, 509-685-6158 is our phone number. Again, that was 685-6158. And let us know what you need, and we will get you in touch with the right person to have a chat and figure out what we can do for you, either on the job seeker or the business side.
All right. Anything that you really wanted to get out there on the radio today that we potentially missed?
Scott, Mike, you guys, as always, are great. You ask wonderful questions, and I think we certainly hit the high points. And I wanted to make sure we talked about the work we do with our veterans. It's so important, and there is a need. And I am just going to mention Larry Allen and Eric Blackburn again do just great work at helping veterans either find employment and overcoming barriers they may have, or also connecting them with be it the county veteran service officer or maybe a tribal veteran service officer, getting our veterans the resources to which they're entitled, be it a service-related disability, care through the VA. We do some amazing work, and I say we, it's Eric and Larry, and they're partners that work exclusively with veterans. So yeah, if you know a veteran that's in a tight spot, please reach out. Larry he was an airborne ranger for 20 years, among other things after that. Just an amazing fellow. Eric's a veteran, was injured in the line of duty. These guys have been there. They've just got huge hearts and do amazing work for our veterans. So please, if you are a veteran or know of a veteran that's in a tough spot, please reach out. Again, 685-6158, and let us know, and Larry or Eric will definitely follow up.
All right. Give us that phone number one more time.
685-6158.
All right. Mike, did you have any final questions?
I really don't. I just want to thank you for coming on the radio. And obviously, from a seasonal standpoint, that's really heating up right now.
Yeah.
And the more we can get you out there, the more we can get done, I guess. So.
Well, I greatly appreciate the opportunity, and Mike, thanks for reaching out. And let's not wait for another pandemic to happen before we do this again. Okay.
Okay, we'll try.
Yeah. Well, see, the way I look at it is the pandemic was an opportunity to reflect and figure out what we could do better.
A lot of that took place, that's for sure.
That's right.
Hopefully continues to happen.
All right, one more time, Barney Brockwell from Employment Security. Thank you for your time today and being with us this morning, Barney.
My pleasure. Thanks, everybody.
You bet.
You bet. Thanks.
All right, and don't forget, if you missed any part of today's interview, we will be posting this since we couldn't be live. We will be posting it on YouTube and Facebook. Just type in Barney on our YouTube page, and it'll show up. Thanks for being here. Keep on listening. Let's see, it's a Wednesday. Don't forget, we got bluegrass music tonight at 6. Oh, man, that's some classic rock. We even got some paranormal talk radio coming your way at 10. All right here, Northern Lights Public Radio. Say thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day.